Welcome to Beyond the Finish Line, a podcast from the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network, where every 2 weeks I will be chatting with ordinary people doing extraordinary things on their path to their own finish line. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Beyond the Finish Line, a trail running podcast that dives deep into the stories, struggles, and triumph that go far beyond the trails. I'm your host, Joe Hardin, a passionate trail runner and ultra distance enthusiast myself. Every other week, we'll explore what drives us to push our limits, chase horizons, find the meaning in every mile. So lace up and let's go beyond the finish line together. Today, the stoke is super high. Man, I don't know. I could go on and on about Cam, but my friend Cam Balser is here today, which is awesome. Cam is an ultra runner who embarked on a pretty wild journey, literally around the perimeter of the United States, just shy of 12,000 miles, averaging 40 miles a day, moving and grooving on the United States perimeter. He began his self-supported endeavor October 9th, 2023, departing in Cleveland, Ohio. Wrapping that up here just recently. Man, I met Cam at Prairie on Fire Backyard Ultra in 2023, which I got to share a ton of miles with Cam. It actually ended up being my first ultra marathon that day, and I was just super stoked to share some miles with Cam. And I knew right away I could feel like this energy coming from Cam. You could tell he was doing what he's born to be doing, and that's sharing positivity, motivation, love, and running. I mean, so before we bring Cam forward to this chat, let's get a little housekeeping out of the way. Friends of the pod, your support means everything to me in the APN. So, hit that share button, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a 5-star if you feel so inclined. We had, outside of my show, 8 other shows on the APN, and we couldn't do it without your support. So without further ado, let's bring my buddy Cam forward for this amazing chat. What is up, Cam?
Nothing too much, man. Just been waiting for this podcast today, man.
Yeah. I mean, I woke up like super like extra giddy. I'm like, all right, today's the day, I get to talk to my buddy Cam. So dude, like I met you over a year ago at Prairie on Fire, and your journey's been amazing, dude. Like, it's something that's inspired me. It's like your journey, what you share, not just the running, but everything that you share on social media. It just gets me so fired up, not just about running, but about everything, positivity and just like your mindset, dude. It's been such an honor and a joy getting to know you, share some miles with you. Even though I wasn't there, I felt like I was there. It was really cool that, about halfway through your journey, I think you were in Texas when I interviewed you for the article.
Yeah.
You were running while I interviewed you, which made it so cool. Like, and it was just so cool that you were like in your element while I was interviewing you. And that article has been a pretty big deal in my writing journey. It's been so cool following along, dude. Like I said, I could go on and on for days about that, for like how I met you and like getting to know you. But and we got to talk about running, but there's some other stuff I want to know, and I'm sure other people want to know.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously that's why we're here. You did this crazy journey, right? But I want to know something about you that maybe isn't running related. So, tell me about Cam, like before the running, before this big journey, around the perimeter of the country. Let's get to know you. So tell us about who is Cam Balser,
Yeah, definitely before I got into the ultra community, I was definitely just, gosh, sorry. I was just typical, working. I've had several different jobs. I've worked at a farm. I've worked at a factory at Frito-Lay in Muncie.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, just like everybody else, was growing up in a small town in Swayze, Indiana. I went to Oak Hill High School, and I fell in love with running and in high school, and I didn't really even know what I wanted to really do in college, but I knew I wanted to run, so I followed that. uh, through that, and was able to get a scholarship and go into go in and actually get a scholarship out to Cali in Kansas, and went out there and ran.
Oh,
So yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
oh man, it's all keep going, man. I think I heard somewhere you went to Vincennes University too
Yeah,
after
well,
that,
yeah,
right?
actually, after Cali Community College out in Kansas, it was actually Arkansas City, Kansas, and which is
Ah, okay.
crazy is like because it was a very last minute decision because actually before I went to college, I was debating on going to Air Force, and actually I had a week, and I actually made that decision in that week whether I was going to go to the Air Force or I was going to go there and go 13 hours away and go to school out in Kansas. And for some reason, I don't know, it was just like I need to run. I need to run. So I followed that and went out there, and just had some personal things. How life can get when you go home and or go away and then come home, or things are going at home, and maybe things you had to change your life around. But I came back home and then went to Vincennes, and I was actually there for 2 years, and actually ran there as well. But I was kind of on my I don't
Oh,
know. I was kind of getting in a moment where I was not. I don't know. I was kind of lost in those kind of moments after Vincennes and just trying to find out who I was and what I wanted to be. And I think when you're in those ages around like 23 and 25, it gets kind of really, you just don't know because everybody's
oh
told
yeah,
you this
yeah.
is how it's supposed to be. And then you get there and everybody's like, I don't know what we're supposed to do, like. So yeah, I just kind of had a few years of after I left Vincennes. What was sorry, going back to Cali. Actually, next week I'm hoping I can make it, but we're actually getting inducted to the Hall of Fame because when I was out there, we won nationals for the
Oh,
cross
dude.
country. It was a junior college, but we won nationals in the cross, and then the JUCO actually holds a half marathon. So we actually won that as a team as well. So they're doing something there in
Oh, nice.
Kansas, and I want to go there, but it is a long drive. But yeah, I just got a thing about that not too long ago. So yeah,
Oh, that's rad, man. That's cool. Yeah, I went to Vincent's too, so I just thought that was kind of cool. Like, I heard you mention that before, and I was like, hey, we have like another, like, kind of, I guess, tying bond. I guess we went to, I went there for 2 years, but so that's cool, man. Yeah, Hall of Fame. So
yeah.
that's pretty rad. So, yeah, so that was
That
like for the or just for the half
they
marathon, or
what's cool about the JUCO is they'll actually hold they'll do the national meet for your normal cross country, but it was 8K rather than 10K. Like I think Division 3 to Division 1 does 10K when they go up into tournament. But a week later, they actually I don't know how long they've been doing this, but they actually hold a national meet for a half marathon. So everybody in that JUCO level gets to race again, and they get to do a half marathon, which you're unleashing guys that have been running an 8K, crazy, and to see what you can do in the half was pretty amazing because it was so much further than what you expected because I mean we were running like low 5 minutes for the 8K, so like you're like I can't run that fast and go that long, but I was able to break 110 out there, and I think I got third place out there.
wow,
Yeah, I didn't realize how much 110 was because I was just so young and naive, but I was like, man, that was if I could do that right now. I can run really far, but running that fast is I give it to those people, man. It's a whole different level.
man. Yeah, dude. Obviously I run ultra distance, so but I doubled back and did the Zionsville half marathon and tried to run it just full out. I just stuck with a pace group, and someone asked me like, "What's scarier?" Like, I was like, honestly, that a 50 miler and 100K. I was like, honestly, that half marathon is probably what hurt me the most last year because I was
Yeah,
running the whole thing. Like how it is at ultras. We're like, I don't stop and taking
yeah,
pictures or eating pierogies at an aid station or
yeah.
something or So I was like, I don't, yeah. So yeah, mad respect to that. And what'd you say, 110 half
Yeah, I
marathon? My
just broke
goodness, dude.
110. I was like a 109 something. But like I said, at the time, I didn't even know what I had done because I think I was in the low 24s in the 8K. So I didn't know what I was running until now. I was like, because I tried to run those times now, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like just to break 5 minutes in the mile sometimes isn't
God,
it's not easy at all.
yeah, that's insane. Yeah, man, that's wild. Oh, wow. So, man, so, uh, so going from half, what'd you say, 8Ks to half marathons? So, all right. So, how do you get from there to ultra running? Like, I mean,
Mm,
so
yeah,
run us through that, man.
yeah, it was kind of crazy because I went to Vincennes and that kind of I didn't I ended up finishing up there and then kind of just got into the workforce. I think all of us do, and kind of halted my because I've always, even when when I first started running, uh it was just something I knew. Exactly when you do something you love to do, you just know, you're like, okay. And after Vincennes, I kind of pushed my running off and kind of got into what we do as the work. Everybody that gets into work, you
Yeah.
wait for the weekend, you party on the weekends and stuff like that, and kind of got into that kind of thing for three, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, and yeah, just I don't know. I thought what I wanted to do with running, I just couldn't do it. So I was just getting away from myself and finding so many different jobs. I think I went through like 4 or 5 different jobs because as people like my jobs kept getting better and better pay, but I was like, because what you think is, I'll get better pay, I'll be able to do more things, I'll be more happy, but I just kept getting more and more disconnected with myself, and
Yeah.
running got further and further away from me, and just because running just gives me that feeling that I just, I'm able to just feel. Yeah, I can't describe it. I can only, people know what they know
Yeah.
when they love to do it. So yeah, just yeah, I forgot the question. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I understand that feeling though. It's like a synergy, right? It's just like, all right, like this is kind of what I'm supposed to be doing, like
Mhm.
it may be a slog at times for me, but it's like once I hit like that groove, I'm like, all right, like yeah, you can definitely feel it's like it's what we're made to do, like as probably just as humans, right? Just like
Yeah,
especially
and
if
you
you're like being immersed in nature and like all that
yeah,
stuff. So
and
yeah,
you
I totally get it.
yeah, you lose track of time, and you don't think, there's no expectation on what you're doing or anything. It's just the fact that you're doing it and the feeling you feel like it. It's just it's amazing to find those kind of things you can have that experience with. So.
Absolutely. Like, I was talking about this the other day on a podcast, and I was like trying to explain how I feel about ultra running, like just running in general. It's like, man, I can never put my finger on it, but it's like, you know, like you're talking about, like you're going through like the grind, like work, and like your brain is pulled everywhere else but running. It's like, and when
Hmm.
you're actually in the act of running, it's like all that stuff just kind of goes away. It's like
Hmm.
all you can really do is be present in the moment.
Yeah,
And
and
I'm sure
that's
you agree. Yeah, and I could
yeah,
never really put my finger on how to explain that to somebody that doesn't run or
yeah,
like run ultra distance. So
yeah,
totally understand, man.
and to them it's just like it's now I've been able to see it, or when I was actually running around the country, I was able to see how I feel with running. I was able to experience people that love something different in that way, and to experience that same thing. So it was real beautiful. So
Yeah, and speaking of that,
yeah.
you just mentioned something that we're gonna have to talk about. So,
Yeah.
Cam, dude, you literally ran around the perimeter of the United States. Like,
Yes.
how wild is that? How wild is that to say now that you're done with it?
Yeah, it is crazy thinking about it, but like when I had the idea of, of doing it, I'll just say this: there's things you are gonna do regardless of anything, because there's no doubt or fear or anything, and that was one of those things that I just knew,
Just
and
knew.
I was able to experience that over and over just by it seemed like synchronicities with people and being at the right place at the right time so many times. So yeah, it's just yeah, I'm just extremely grateful for the experience and to be able to share that with you, everybody. So,
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, like you had a lot of support in the community, and I want to talk about that because shout out to MTC. Obviously, that's going to be a
oh
big.
yeah,
Um, but and we'll get to that. Like, we'll get to the MTC, right? But I kind of want to know. It was so cool because I talked to you right before you left, man, and I remember
hmm
you're just like, I'm going to run around the perimeter of the country. And I was just like, yeah, you're right. Like, yeah,
yeah,
but
I
then,
know.
and then it's been so cool having a like kind of like a it feels like a front seat to your journey. Watching it from far, like I said, yeah, it feels like a lot of us feel like we were right along with you.
hmm
But I have to know, like, it's not like you. I mean, you have an ultra running story leading up to the perimeter run, right? I mean, I heard you ran like Potawatomi 200, and I know you've done some
Yeah,
other stuff. And if you want to share about that stuff, you can. But
yeah.
I kind of want to know, like, run me through, like what led up to the decision where you approach TJ and you're like, hey, man, I want to run the perimeter of the entire United States proper. Man,
Yeah,
run
I
us
mean,
through that.
yeah, I mean, there was a while where I would just wasn't running at all. It was crazy, but I was at Frito Lay, and actually I just started lifting. I just started getting something physical, and it just started getting that itch, and I was like, wow, And then I just started running and running, and then once I got to running, I was at such a bad place at Frito Lay. I knew then that like I got to really like I went to an inpatient program, all that. So I just had completely lost myself in that moment, but I knew exactly when I got out of all that therapy and stuff what I was going to do, and it was something with running. I just hadn't known what it was. But I went through all that inpatient and then the outpatient program in Kokomo for mental health. Um, Absolutely lovely program. The best thing I could have had there was the group therapy to be able to talk to everybody because you realize everybody's in the same boat and we're just
Yeah,
trying to figure everything out. And it is a wild world we're in. It is, and
yeah,
but it is beautiful. But after that, I had such lovely people in my life at that time, and I can't thank them enough because when you're in those moments of really hating yourself and not liking yourself and not wanting to be here and trying to figure out why you want to be here, you hurt the people you love the most, and that's the hardest thing to get that off you to accept that as forgiveness. So, um, but everybody that was there and they've been there, but after that, I got a few other jobs, but I started running more and more and more, and then I started running just crazy out of blue, just running like 20, 30 miles a day. And I was like, wow, this is something I really enjoy. And then it's crazy that this is David Goggins was the guy that got me into ultra running, but he
a lot
was.
of us, right? Yeah,
Yeah, but it was actually I was listening to Jesse something because I was getting into a lot of motivational stuff and listening to that, and it was really putting me. I was switching my mindset. I didn't realize your thoughts are so powerful. But I was doing that, and it was something with the seal with Jesse, and then I read David Goggins' book, and I was like, wow, people can actually do this, and I already really love doing this, but it kind of threw me off because I saw people looking at it as like I need to do this and feel this pain to overcome what I'm overcoming, but me, it was like I love doing this, and it's so much fun. I want to
yeah,
experience more of this feeling, so. Um, yeah, and so I just got more and more into it, and it's after I don't know, it was how many years ago? Maybe 5 to 7 years ago. I just was like, hey, I'm gonna run 100 miles. And I just said this crazy thing was like, I'm gonna run 100 miles on my birthday. It was obviously it's February 13th, so it was in the winter. So it actually ended up being one of the craziest days. It ended up being -2 the whole time,
oh man,
but I did a thing for like mental health because it was a thing that I really gone through, and it was real special to me. And But I ended up doing that and had a bunch of people, and I was coming up with Run Love Ride. If people had followed me in the beginning, I was doing that kind of stuff and
Yeah.
just finding my way slowly and slowly. And then me and TJ somehow got linked up with through a friend. I can't think of his name right now, but I was posting stuff on my profile and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I want to run. After I did that 100 miles, I'm going to do a 200-mile Potawatomi race. And if people know the Potawatomi, it's in Peoria,
I heard it's
Illinois.
tough.
It's 10 miles and it's 1,500 feet of elevation every 10 miles. So, and you're doing that 20 times. And there's one point, there's a rope that you had to like, it's literally like, it feels like you're in the army or something.
Whoa.
So you climb up that, so you have to do that 20 times, and it's in April, so if it rains, it's just wild. But we got linked up, and he thought I was crazy. But we started working together, and started doing more and more races. I didn't end up finishing that 200, but I got further than 100, so I was like, I did 110, so that's further than I ran before. So I was like, this is cool.
That's a
They're like, you
PR,
only
man.
ran
Yeah.
a, yeah, they're like, you only ran 110. I was like, I ran 110, and it was how many thousands of feet of elevation?
Yeah.
When I ran the 100, it was in Kokomo, so it was 0 feet. So I was like, that's a pretty good. So, but everyone else kept thinking I was crazy. But me and TJ started working more and more together as like a coach and stuff like that, because he could just see that I was really determined and stuff like that. And yeah, he really got me really back into it. Yeah, obviously, if you know TJ Daly,
Yeah.
he loves everything about running. He loves the community, and he does so well with getting everybody together. So, such an amazing person. And Misha, the track club, was absolutely phenomenal. So glad to be a part of that. But yeah, I just started doing more stuff with TJ, and started opening my mind up into the ultra world. And we like to see how far we can go. We're kind of crazy, but it's crazy though. It starts in the mind and the body follows. Like like if
I
you
love
can
that.
think it, you could do it. Uh, and we started doing like smaller things. We did when during COVID, it was like a GFA 5,000 or whatever. It was just like if you did a like a virtual reality. You went from like LA to there and back,
Oh yeah,
and we
yeah.
had our MTC or Mesha uh, track club. We did a team thing, and I ended up running almost like 300 miles that week. And at
Oh
that point,
wow.
I was just like, okay, yeah, I was thinking about running across the country. I was like, okay, I could actually see myself doing this, like, because I was working on top of that. I was still working 8 hours and we're running that kind of miles, and I was like, wow, I could. And then I was like, I feel pretty good. I was like, well, that's kind of crazy. I haven't ran it twice in multiple weeks, but just started getting the higher mileage, and yeah, that dream started just forming more and more into wanting to not just go across, to wanting to go around, because I just wanted to experience something someone hasn't done before, or
Yeah.
just something different. Like it was unique. I knew a lot of people had crossed, and I was like, I could do that, but I just really want to do something just a little bit crazier. I don't
I
know, and
love that, man.
I honestly don't know where it came from, but it was something that wherever it did come from, it resonated so true to me, and it no matter what people thought about it, and I understand now, like when I tell people that it is crazy, and people view it at the state they're in. They're like, I
Yeah.
couldn't, like, that seems crazy. And yeah, it was something true to my heart, and I followed it, and it was crazy when I actually made the decision that was what I was going to do. All the things that were holding me back instantly fell down, and the way that the things lined up, even though some moments didn't seem like they were working out, they did. So yeah,
Man.
I know I kind of went off a tangent. So
No, no, I love that. Well, because you said something that really resonates with me. Cause it sounds like this is something I'm focusing on. Because I kind of start the same path, like the Goggins path, and then like the running into the pain, like all this stuff.
mhm,
And I've had to shift pretty wildly, very quickly, because I realized I would get I was getting kind of like a negative loop the
mhm,
last couple of months, and I really had to do like a really wild mindset shift where like you said, it's like it came from your heart, and that's something I'm really having to focus on too.
Mhm.
And that's something I kind of draw from you too, seeing what you're doing. So, and you had to carve your own path, man. Like you said, it spoke to you, and it makes
Yeah,
sense when it speaks to you, right? Like,
it
and
does.
yeah, and I think it's so cool you did something different. Like the Transcon's been done, like shout out to Ricky Gates, and like there's been a lot of
Mhm.
people that done that. But yeah, like it's so unique. Um, like you say, you kind of made your own way, I guess, and I really
Yeah,
love that. Um,
yeah, and it gives you the chance to really like when you follow your heart, you realize like there's this I call it like intuitive intelligence that you have that it's just
ooh,
it's incredible. It's really it's magical like and I was able to experience that out there like this intuition and I think with what I've been reading all that, just trying to figure out stuff. But you know, being out there and being out in nature, the way I experienced and how I knew I was safe all the time. Because if you realize some of the areas I was at, it's literally a miracle how I made it across and didn't something crazy didn't happen. Like it. Yeah, there's this inner guidance we have when we shut off the things that are distracting us. Like we have this our heart will never lie, but our mind will confuse us.
oh yeah, I mean your mind will lie to you all the time, right? But your heart will always guide you, and like that's
Mhm.
where it all comes from. You were I remember that's something that you mentioned. First of all, let me shout out to Roel Gonzalez. He said it was Jesse Itzler living with the
Yeah,
seal.
yeah,
Yeah. So thanks, Roel. I remember you're talking about like you mentioned something. We got to run together for a little bit at Prairie this year. Like kind of how you were always in front of like you caught like lightning in a bottle in your journey. It's like you were right in front of like storms and like these
hmm
weird hot swings in Texas, and
yeah,
so I was always something I thought was wow. It's like it's almost like it was divine. It was like divine intervention that you set out on the path exactly when you did, where you did it. Like
hmm
that's always something that like I remember you mentioned that at Prairie on Fire, and it always kind of stuck with me how like just perfect it kind of wound up being where you were when you were.
yeah,
I remember you said something like you had some tooth pain, and just like when you were set back with your tooth pain, there
yeah,
just so happened to be someone that was like able to help you,
yeah, yeah,
and that's just so
yeah,
wild how that like it always finds a way, right? Is that something that you learned like throughout the entire time you're out there? It's like there's always some way that like all these things will fit together and like work together, and so that was just something that you said that really stuck with me too. The last
yeah,
time we got, yeah,
yeah, and when you're truly living in the moment, because like you're lost in the moment, you really see all the things you need to see. It's like it's hard to describe this feeling. All I can do is like be with people and express how that just be with them. Like I don't know, it's wild. Yeah,
um, so you ran unsupported, but you had the kid runner. Like run us through the kid runner, like kind of what you had to carry in the kid runner, just real
yeah,
quick on like what you brought with you for like an
yeah,
unsupported journey of that
yeah.
magnitude.
Yeah, so when I first started out, I had a lot more stuff in that kid runner than I had anticipated. But like all of us, you when your mom says to do something, we listen to her. So I carried a few items just to make her happy. But once I got to Atlantic, I dropped it off. But your bare essentials, like I had a little bit more clothes. Obviously, I learned real quick. Cotton, even though it's better for your skin, it's not a good material to carry if it's going to get wet. So
Oh yeah.
I had a lot of cotton stuff, but I had probably three different changes of clothes, and by the end of it, ended up being one change of clothes. I just wore the same thing all the time. But I had my clothes, my sleeping bag, my air mattress, a little blow up air mattress, a little cooker, dehydrated food, I had a toolkit to work on my thing because I ended up doing everything on that kid runner probably that I wasn't thought I was gonna do, but I had that a tent, tarp. Let's see, all kinds of different little all kinds of little knick-knack tool things. Uh, yeah, I think pretty much. Actually, a water filter because I actually filtered quite a bit of water on my journey. just because I learned that a gallon of water is 8 pounds. So anything I had to carry a little bit more, I learned how to be so efficient. But and I think an extra pair of shoes and yeah, rain gear. So I think that's all the stuff that was in there.
Cool. Yeah, I remember when I was talking to you, you said that it could potentially be like 100. I don't remember the number, but it could potentially be like a day or so without water when you were in West Texas, I think, when I talked to you.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. So you mentioned shoes. How many like? So I know I mentioned in the article how many pairs of shoes you went through when I talked to you. How many pairs of shoes did you go through?
I think I ended up doing 28 pairs of
20,
shoes.
okay, 28. Wow, I think the last time I talked to you was like 14 or something, so, somewhere in
Yeah.
there. Wow, man. Do you remember how many bearings you went through on the Kid Runner and tires and stuff?
Uh, if you do any of the parts of the thing, it was 100 plus parts I went through on that Kid Runner. So it,
Yeah, I remember there
and
was
it
like I can't
yeah,
remember where you were when like the axle or something broke, and I was like, oh
yeah.
man, hopefully.
Oh man, I dragged that thing probably I would say out of the almost 12,000 miles. I'd probably dragged that thing broken for at least 2,000 miles at least on that journey because like the thing is like I some places I'd just be out there by myself because people would text me like you can get an Uber, do this. I'm like this isn't Indianapolis. This is like middle of Montana or New Mexico. I was like, there's no Ubers out here. Like, I don't even get signal. Like, it was interesting.
That's so wild. Yeah, I remember like I was like, man, I was like, I used to be a machinist and and I'm an engineer too. So I was like, man, hopefully I could. I was like trying to get a hold of you, like if I can make something to send it out to you. But by the time I even got to that post, I think you were 3 hours ahead of me. I think somebody had already covered you. So I was like, oh, cool. Like,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
man, that's a wild ride to watch from like. It's like I would wake up when you were out west and like I'm just like, whoa, like it was so cool to like kind of catch an update like first thing in the morning, and like it was so rad, man. But
yeah. No, it was such a cool thing to share with people, and the coolest thing too as I was going across and looking on my because I just view social media as such a cool thing, a cool tool to actually be able to connect with people. But to see people connect with different people that I was meeting along the way was a beautiful thing, and them talk to one another. People from Idaho talking to people from Florida or Vermont to California or whatever. Everybody was talking to one another, so it was
yeah.
like a cool experience. I didn't realize it until being at home what it built up to be. So it was cool.
Oh yeah. I know we talked about this, but um, your journey actually introduced me to David Chippy. So
Yeah,
yeah. So after you met David, he contacted me. Me and him have been talking for a few months now. He just sent me a sourdough starter too. I'm gonna start making bread, but me and him are gonna run the Mohican 100 together. So you're talking about connections, like,
yeah,
and that's just one connection. So I couldn't imagine like the hundreds of other connections you made along the way, and like
yeah,
so you may not have got to see all that because you were on the journey, but man, it absolutely did make a huge impact, man. Like, um, so yeah, that's just so like you said, social media being what it is,
hmm
really is. If you use it in that way, it can be such an amazing tool for connection. Like
yeah,
that's why I'm here podcasting is
yeah,
because of those connections. So yeah, man, just 100% agree with that. And shout out to David too. I've
yeah.
never I've
He's
never even met him in real life, and we're gonna run 100 miles together here in
yeah,
May. So
yeah. You'll get to know one another really well,
yeah, real quick, like
especially
so
when you
cool.
get up in the 50s and 60s, 100.
Yeah, those overnight hours, you really get to know people,
Yeah.
don't you?
Oh, you do. That's what I love about doing when the prairie because you let go as the night goes on. You let the ego go, and you see it's like being a kid again. You see people like, what is going on?
I think it's so wild when you're running. Yeah, that the greatest connections are between 60 and 80. Yeah, absolutely. I haven't quite been to 80 yet, but I'm getting close. Um,
Oh yeah.
I think it's so cool. Like when you're running prairie, there's like still people doing their own thing in the park too. So
hmm
there's like just people having like campouts and grilling, and it's
Yeah,
just so wild.
and imagine me camping when somebody's gonna be, you're gonna watch them maybe go like 300 miles. That'd be insane. You go to bed and be like, You guys are still running?" Like it'd be, I would be like, "What is going on?"
Man, dude, I think Prairie is gonna this year has some heavy hitters, man. Like I'm just so like I've only been in the game for a while. It's just so wild what Prairie has become. It's not just a backyard, dude. That is a true community. And
Oh yeah,
this year it was like obviously every year that TJ does Prairie is great, but man, this year just like had a whole different like
it oh
energy,
it
dude.
oh yeah, you could just, it felt like a family kind of event. Like everyone was there, and he is just so good at what he does, man. Man,
Yeah.
he gets the right people together, and it's just, yeah, he just, what a community thing. Like I just can't get over that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really look forward to. I'm gonna have TJ on next month and Christy actually, so I'm really looking forward to talking to them some more. It's been cool getting to know TJ. Um, yeah, man. So let's talk about Prairie on Fire, but let's talk about Chasing 100. So that was really rad, man. Yeah, it's like that was the other thing. I was like, there's cameras at Prairie this year, and like John was there
Yeah.
doing the drone footage.
Yeah.
Um, I I got to make the awards this year for Prairie. That really got me fired up. So, so tell me about like a little insight into the shooting. Like you get to see a small little clip of me talking to you in the intro of Chasing 100. I think that's kind of cool too. It's like, hey man, there I am talking to Cam.
Yeah.
But uh, tell us like a little bit like going into like shooting that documentary. Um, what made John like what made TJ and John and you guys all decide to with Mount to Coast decide to do that. Man, it was so good too. That documentary
Yeah, I
was.
mean, that'll be definitely more. John and TJ were more involved in that, but with the Mountain Coast. Because I mean, I had just gotten back, so he would know
Yeah,
more of those details than I would. So
I'll have to get some
yeah, but
insight into that.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
it was so
yeah.
cool.
No, yeah, no, yeah, and to have Laz in that as
I
well, I
know.
think, because that was just a last minute thing, kind of thing. Like, hey, they were like, hey, we're gonna go down to Tennessee, and then he was like, do you want to go? I was like, yes, I would love to go meet him, because it's like,
Oh
you
heck
know,
yeah.
people from just seeing them, just their energy, you want to see them.
Would you ever try or like? I mean, I'm sure you could get into big dogs, but is that something you would do if you had the opportunity to get into big dogs?
I mean, if it really spoke to me, I would. It's just like, yeah, it's hard not to, like, if you're not in it 100% to really chase something like that, because it's like it's a whole different. That's what's crazy about the ultra thing. Like, there's so many different events. People are scattered everywhere. You know, you could
Yeah,
do FKTs, or you could do 50K, or you could do these, and you got to figure out how to sleep and only run. Like, it's the people that do that are incredible, because that's one thing I haven't been able to figure out is the sleep thing.
yeah. That's what I was trying to like. I talked to Megan Eckert recently, and that it's just I think you're. It's like backyards are a tough nut to crack, dude. Like I think that's the hardest format that I've ran. Like
Yeah.
I love them so much because of the connections made there. You know, I've met you at backyard. I still talk to you I still talk to you. Eric, my buddy Eric that we ran with at
Hmm.
2023. He was there this year too. I still talk to a lot of people. Every time I do a backyard, I leave with like a lifelong friend. But it's
Yeah.
just such a tough ass format, man. But yeah,
It really, and it hits you like just all of a sudden too. It's just like, what happened?
that's what happened to me at Prairie. I felt really good, and then it was just like within a lap, I was just like, "Shit, this might not happen anymore today." But yeah, it's cool, man. I got off course because I had something to ask about your journey, right? Because I need to talk. I want to talk about that little side trip that you took uh, out west, man. So you're running around the country, the perimeter of the country. What just outside of what's that go from Reno to or where does that go from LA to
Santa Monica to Vegas.
Santa Monica to Vegas? You take a little side trip, dude.
Yeah.
Tell us what did TJ say? He's like everybody else is tapered for this, but
Yeah.
Cam had a
Too
1,500, or yeah,
yeah,
whatever.
I yeah, I think when I got there it was like almost 6,000, some
Six, yeah,
7,000 miles,
you
and
had a 6,000 mile training run to the
yeah,
speed project, man. Like,
yes,
and everybody listening, check out that documentary. It's once again, it's something that TJ just absolutely knocked out of the park.
yeah,
And you guys, and you had a crew like your mom. Like, I have to shout out your mom, Paula. I love her. Like, she's always been so, ever since I met her, like always been so supportive on social media, and like always like like hyping me up on stuff. So I just want to give some love to Paula too, because
yeah.
I really really like your mom. It's been cool getting to know your mom too. But let's
You could
uh,
you could definitely find where I find the love in my heart is I get it from her because
oh
she's a very kind person, and that's where I got it. So I'm very grateful for her.
yeah. So like, is your mom, TJ? Oh, uh,
John,
who else was John? John, Dylan. Run us
yes,
through
Dylan,
like, like run
and
us. Oh,
TJ's daughter,
TJ's daughter. Now I feel
Kay,
bad.
and
I've
I
watched that
know,
documentary like 4 times
yes,
too. But run us
but
through
yeah, it
like,
was
yeah, run us through Speed Project, man. Let us talk about that.
yeah. It was definitely an interesting kind of thing because I kind of just got a phone call from TJ. I was somewhere in Texas. I can't really remember it where exactly, but he was like, yeah, he was we were just talking over things, and he's like, ah, yeah, I just wanted to mention something. I know you're doing what you're doing, but something's came up, and I he was obviously talked about the details and stuff like that, and I just immediately knew, just like when I was doing my run across the thing, that it was something that if it was gonna work out perfect. That I had to run 40 miles a day to get there 2 days before. I was like, that just couldn't be that perfect to be able to make it to that race. So I told him, yeah, I was like, yeah, I'll get involved. Like, I'm gonna try to get there. I'm in Texas, and I had to get to Santa Monica before March 20 something. So it was like it was so far ahead, which was crazy to be like, okay, Cameron's gonna make it from Texas. He's gonna make it to California and make it to this race, and we're gonna run a 300. We're gonna run 300 miles. Um,
Through Death Valley,
but
right?
yeah, yeah, and, oh yeah, and it was kind of when you go through the desert and you finally get to like Coachella, it starts to open. Coachella, California, it starts to open up again, where there's food and water, and to actually run back out and back into the desert was kind of heart wrenching because I was like, oh my gosh, I was already out there and I had to go back in there because I was like, people don't realize they're like it. There's a lot of people here. I was like, if you go out west compared to East Coast, there was times I was so by myself. It was ridiculous. Like there was nobody. I didn't see anybody but a train for 3 days. I didn't see anybody in it. I was like, it was kind of crazy. I was like, I haven't seen anybody for a while. I was like, you never have those moments like back at home. Like I always see somebody. Um, but yeah, I was able to get there 2 days before the race, and my mom and all of them flew out and met me in Santa Monica. We stayed out in LA, and I can't think of her name. Catherine. Catherine was also with us and
Oh
the
yeah,
speed
paced
project. I
you
didn't
and
want to.
crude and pace. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes, and we actually, I was actually able to stay that there and get all my stuff because actually when I was at the speed project right before we were getting to race the next day, all my stuff in my cart and everything had gotten stolen like
Oh
the
yeah,
night
yeah.
before, and we found out, and it was kind of extreme because I was like, okay, we're gonna run this race, and then I gotta fly back, and then I don't have anything, but hey, for my stuff to get stolen on that whole trip, that was the perfect time to do it because I had that week to get all my stuff back. So it ended up working out perfect. So I was able to get my everything replaced. And huge shout out to TJ and his wife. They got the kid car, another kid runner. But that was crazy. Like going in the race, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened." But yeah, we started March 25th out of Santa Monica, and it's TSP. It was a 300-mile race basically from TSP or from Santa Monica to Vegas, and The only rule is there's no aid stations or anything. So you figure out how you get there. The only rule you have is don't go on the interstate, which
Okay. Yeah.
it's pretty wild. But yeah, and they crewed me. The whole crew crewed me from Santa Monica into Vegas, and it took, I think, I can't remember the exact time, but it took me just over 3 days to do it, which was
Nice.
insane because I had so many people really worried about me because I was dealing with a little bit of tooth issues a little bit before that, but was able to mitigate that with because at some point I passed out because I had some tooth pain just before that. Actually, yeah, I had to go get
Yeah, I remember
amoxicillin.
that.
Yeah, my face swelled up so much, and I had so much. I know it's disgusting, but pus and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of felt like Castaway, and people were saying that stuff because it's like you're gonna have to knock your tooth out, and but I ended up passing out on the side of the interstate because a lot of the time I had to run on the interstates, so I ended up passing out there. So, and woke up the next day, got medicine, was able to go, but yeah. But sorry, that
Man,
was
that's wild.
something random, but
No, no.
uh,
Something that's not lost on me is that you kind of felt like like you're the real life Forrest Gump, and you kind
yeah.
of felt like Castaway. I love that.
Oh, I did. It
Yeah.
was the worst pain ever, and I had the craziest like I don't know dream state wild thing. I don't know. I was like, wow. I don't know if because when I actually got it pulled out, I didn't get it pulled out till I went up to Redmond, Washington. So I'd done TSP and all that with that, like my mouth all kind of messed up, and then
Oh
I
wow.
was able to actually get it pulled and stayed with a teammate from Misha Track Club, Corey, and got it pulled out. Took 2 days off, and then or no, a day off, and then ran the next day another 40 miles.
Man, like yeah, I remember seeing that. I was like, oh, like I hope hopefully he gets to keep going. I remember I woke up the next morning. I think I saw you were already up and at it, so I was like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. At least he's back on the
No.
road. Like,
Yeah. That
well,
was.
first of all, yeah, I'm glad you're healthy, and then you're back on the road. But
Yeah. Yeah. That was the only time I thought that it was something I was gonna have to call it for at least a lot longer than I wanted to. But like I said, all the things lined up perfect and ended up working out, so I was very lucky. So, but yeah,
man,
that
that's
race at TSP was absolutely beautiful. Like you had the first going into from Santa Monica to San Bernardino, and then you go out into the desert and seeing the Vegas, after not seeing anything forever was absolutely wild. And
yeah,
yeah, it was just that was a magical race out there. I think
man, yeah,
everyone in the crew could have said that because there's not a lot of times you're out in the middle of nowhere with, the people you love and you're doing what you love to do. So it was cool. And then you have all these teams also together doing the same thing from all around the world. And you're
yeah.
like,
So
this is so cool. It's like
that's
because you're together and nothing's different because the love's the same, like you're from everywhere doing all kinds of different things, but the love's the same. So it was cool to share that experience with each and all the people that participated in that.
man. I would love to do something like that, like maybe like a relay or something, like a Ragnar or something. I think it'd be so cool to be a
Yes.
part of. But maybe one day I'll be able to link up with a team or something like that. It'd be kind of cool to like
No, it's a
you've got me fired up. Like I remember I shared with you, like I still want to run across the state of Indiana. So
yeah,
I'd like to do like
yeah,
a Ragnar, or like a rain or something like that. But yeah, that's awesome, man. Uh, so after Speed Project, what you finish? Third place? I can't remember what you.
no, I was
No, second.
second place. Yeah,
Second place. Wow.
I ended up getting under the previous course record, but yeah, the guy in front of me, he was good, man. Yeah, he ended up getting that. He was previously got third at Moab 240, so I
Oh wow.
knew like, and I had the back of my mind. I was like, I can't completely tear myself up because I had to run after this. I had to run. I still have just over eight, I don't know, 6,000 more miles to run. So I was like, man, it was kind of wild to hit that fine line and actually come out of that and not get completely because usually a 300-mile race, man, it usually takes a while to get over that. Like I know when I ran the 200, it felt like months. I ran myself in the ground. I know now not to do that.
Yeah, I bet you have a really good feeling of what you can like. You're probably really super in tune now with like kind of what your body's telling
Yeah,
you.
and
That's
and
kind of cool.
yeah, and I've learned it's like instantly when the ego is taking over, you got to shut it down.
You gotta shut
That's
it
I've
down,
learned
man.
that real quick. It's an ego thing. I'm like, it's not. It's I know you I already. It's like with everything in life. It's like you already know, but you always choose other things sometimes.
Oh, we do have a YouTube question. Have you done Barkley
I have
from?
No, I
You
have
haven't.
not done Barkley. Would it? I haven't. Would it be something I would be interested in? I would definitely would like to try it, but there is just a lot of navigation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised that David Goggins hasn't done it because he was a ranger or whatever. He did
Yeah.
all that, but yeah, it's just one of those things. Like I said, we all have our unique thing in the ultra thing. It would definitely. I don't know. It'd be something.
I can get lost on a well marked course. They'd have to
Yeah.
rescue me at Barkley.
Oh no. I've been lost on a 100-mile course. I've been
um,
lost on a 5K course.
I think I have too. Actually, I know I got lost on a 10K trail course. I was like, wait, what? Like, was it on the
No,
left or the right?
yeah, the one time I got lost, I'll never forget it. It was semi-state. It was New Prairie here in Indiana, and I turned the wrong way with about I'd say 300 meters, and I was in first place and made the wrong turn and ended up getting second place.
Oh
And
man.
I was just like, man, because to win a semi-state in Indiana, it's we only have four of them. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna win this. And then I turned the wrong way, and my coach was like, what are you doing? It's something I still will never forget.
Yeah, Jason said he ran a 50 miler. I ran a 67 mile 100K this last summer because I turned on a fire road at 2 a.m. because I was sleeping while I was running. But
Yeah, no, yeah, and that's yeah, it gets wild when you get in those kind of things because you're just like, it's wild how your mind goes. You're like, why did I do that?
yeah, like what's funny is where like what like someone stopped me like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm running the race. They're like, not on this road, you're not. And like when I got to where I'd made the wrong turn, it was like real obvious, like
Yeah,
big arrow, like do not, this was like, what the hell? Um, but yeah, all right. So speed project, you come around, you finish your journey, you bring it home. Um, but then like there's just so many things that have happened to you, and I'm gonna do my best to capture them all while I've got you because I feel like man, it's been a wild ride, Cam. It's been wild
yeah,
seeing it, man. And something I really, really want to talk about because this is new, right? Dude, uh, your shoe, like I have to see this thing. Like,
yeah.
how
I
was it?
can grab it real quick.
Yeah, how was it to like keep like hold on to that secret? Like, oh man, like because you probably obviously knew a while before they released it. Um,
Yeah,
so man, you got your own
no,
shoe, dude. Like this has got me so fired up. Because like I said, I've been following you since before you went. So this has just been a wild ride just watching it. So man, show us
mhm.
a shoe. This is
Yeah,
so
man.
cool.
So it's kind of cool yeah, they put the me on the
Oh,
tongue
dude,
of it,
I love the logo,
and then this is the colorway. I really liked how,
dude.
and then they put the miles on that, so
Oh man,
11,170. And the great thing of the soles, I love it because it's just the soles of the feet. It's kind of like a I don't know a thing, moving and grooving.
dude.
So,
Yeah, man, I love the S1s, but man, those shoes are so badass. It's in
dude,
my
yeah,
shopping cart.
and I think what people like about that is that it's not laced all the way, so you can adjust that thing on the toe thing. I don't know what they say you get bunions for wearing high heels. I've never worn them, but I have the craziest bunions you would ever see. Like it looks like I have a 90-year-old woman's foot. But they work well with my feet with the wide thing, and they feel comfortable because I don't know. I like to run barefoot. I do actually a lot of barefoot running. I probably do at least 20, 30 miles a week barefoot running.
Oh really?
But I love those shoes though. Like if I'm not on the treadmill, I'm running in those. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I like to use the S1s for the S1s are nice and light for treadmill runs. So it's like
yeah,
it's almost been like it's become like my perfect treadmill shoe because they're not real heavy. Like
Yeah.
I tried running treadmill and like some of my other like the Hoka the Hoka Clifton Nines, and they're just like those are a great ultra distance shoe, but they're like just so heavy after so many miles. So
Yeah.
man, dude, like it's so wild. Yeah, when I saw the release of your shoe, I was just like, oh my god, perfect time. I got to talk to Cam anyway. So I was like trying to like not. I was like so excited for you and try not to like hit you up about a bunch of questions of the shoe because I'm like, dude, how cool is this that you got your own shoe? But
Oh, I
earlier
would.
today, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
I know,
man,
I know. It's yeah, and it was, dude, it was so hard for me to not to share it with anybody because I didn't know, when and stuff. I just knew like we did the shoots and stuff like that, and we really didn't tease it too much until before. But I was just, it was, every time I put them on, it's so crazy how I can just have these vivid images of everything that had to come together with this shoe. Like, it means so much to me. Like, it's everybody, every little thing that had to come together, put that shoe together, and it's just like it's such a good representation of who I am and what that journey was to be able to share that experience and put that in a shoe. It really worked out really well. So I'm really thankful.
yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, like a buddy of mine were talking about the release shoe. She goes like, dude, this couldn't have happened until like a better person. Like this is just so like, man, it's just been so wild. Man, yeah, it's just wild, dude. It's just
And I yeah, I try to
yeah,
yeah remain humble but I'm
yeah,
like, man, that's so bad. I'm like, I want to say that's so badass. I got a shoe. I was like, and I just because I got to spend the night, people welcoming me into their home like so many times. They had no clue who I was, especially in the beginning, and they showed me the love I knew that was out there, and I got to show that to the world and to the world because it was crazy how people thought the world was so crazy. I'd be in Florida and they'd be like, "Oh, the people in California are so crazy. They're not gonna help you or anything." And then the people in California would be so lovely and stuff like that and help me, or in Texas, and you got to see it. We were just all the same, and the love was the same, and I yeah, it was just a beautiful thing to show that to the world because it's crazy how a lot of people just don't know that's out there. And I was like, man, that was a hard thing coming back because it's like I got to see the world how it actually really is, and to
yeah.
I got to step outside of the box we're in, and we live in such a beautiful experience. Like that's all I'll take that with me my whole life after that.
Yeah, I love you saying that. It's kind of like like when when you kind of put your guard down a little bit and like kind of open your mind to other people and like other people from different places and different walks of life. You really
Mhm.
learn like how amazing this place really is. Like you see a lot of stuff that doesn't maybe paint it in that light, but it
Yeah.
really is like at the end of the day, we're all just human, and we all just kind of want to do the best we can for the most part, and we want a connection. And I think your journey uh, sheds a lot of light on that. Like just
Mhm.
seeing, like you said, the connections you've made, the people who have connected through you, um, and people letting you into their homes, and just watching that journey. To me, it actually I'll say that your journey gave me more. It made me look at people different. It's like, wow, there
Mhm.
really is beauty everywhere. You
Mhm.
just have to kind of be open to it. Like instead of like you said, like casting stones at your neighbors or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's so wild, and I think what you did, it really, really, like I said, sheds light on that. So I think what you
Yeah.
did was
Yeah,
important.
and it shows you to, I hope for everybody to really dive in deep and find out, yeah, what you love to do, and you'll find that openness when you have that open heart. Like that's why I was able to find those people. I know that with all my heart because I remained open, and I always remained in that, yeah, just that loving kind of frequency, and just yeah, the universe gives you what you put out. It really does, and I know that wholeheartedly. And this is just an amazing experience. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, man, like I said, man, I've got more questions now. Talking to you more. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but Man, this has been an amazing experience, Cam. Cam, it's been great getting to know you.
Thank you.
And I'm
You
gonna have to
too,
have you
man.
back on. Yeah, we'll have to have you back on. Have to have you back on. And now that you're back in Indiana, dude, let's catch some miles soon.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
I got some training coming for the Mohicans, so it'd be cool to link up and talk in a non-podcast format too, man, and maybe
Yeah,
tear up
I
some
know it.
roads.
It takes me a while to warm up. I'm so much better when I'm running and stuff like that. I feel like I don't know. I get in a thing, but once I warm up, I get it. It's easier for me to podcast. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, man, thank you for your time, man. I'll have to have you back on because I still got questions. But man, it's been awesome following your journey. I can't wait to see where it takes you. And anybody
yeah.
listening, follow Cam on Instagram, man. It's going to be one of the best follows you could do. At Cam Balser on Instagram, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, man.
Um, Man, you won't regret following Cam. Like I said, he'll motivate you. He'll get you out the
Yeah.
door. Um, he'll make you rethink your mindset, and he's doing amazing
Yeah.
things. And thank you, Cam, and thank you everybody for listening. And I cannot wait to see you all beyond the finish line next
Yep.
time.
Thank you.